I really wanted to fly, I think, from the time I was about 6 or 7. I was making model aeroplanes and flying them, and it never really occurred to me to do anything else other than fly. Leaving school at 18, went straight to Cranwell and did the academic and flying courses there, and was posted straight away onto Victor's. I ended up by flying it all my flying career. And I was surprised to find when I went back in my logbook that actually I'd first flown this particular aeroplane in 1964 when I collected it from the manufacturers. And my last operational trip was actually in this particular aircraft again, some years later in 1980. Well, the Victor was designed in the immediate post-war years when the threat of nuclear warfare emerged. They would need an aircraft that could fly higher than the bombers of their day and also go very, very much further. The aircraft started off carrying an updated version of first hydrogen bomb. Then the aircraft were converted into tankers, and they were still flying up to 1993. Well, I did get to fly her again, bearing in mind my last trip in her was in 1980. It was going to be just an ordinary fast taxi run for the benefit of the spectators here at Bruntingthorpe. We'd briefed only to go up to 100 knots, and then we would close the throttles and slow down and stop. We accelerated away, and at about 80 or 90 knots, I called for the co-pilot to close the throttles, but he actually froze. We just kept going, and so I called for the throttles to be closed again. But again, absolutely nothing happened, and I glanced across and I saw that he had got his hands on the throttles, but he wasn't pulling them back. So at that stage I realized I was going to have to do it. That meant taking my left hand that was holding the aircraft on the ground off the control column, move it over the throttles and close them myself. But when I took my hands off the controls, it reared up, and in just a split second we were airborne and moving away, with the crosswind moving the aircraft very rapidly off the centre line and away over the grass. At which point, I must admit, I thought we were in for very serious trouble, because the most likely course of action was for the aircraft to stall and we would just crash wherever we were. But I realised that the aircraft was actually flying and was responding to my flying control inputs. And having realised that and pushed the nose down, I realised I'd still got more than half the runway left available to me. And with the nose down, I managed to point it back over the grass but towards the runway, and make a controlled landing. And I managed to get it back onto the tarmac of the runway. And once I was there, braking was, I would say, near maximum. And we stopped with several hundred feet to go to the end of the runway. I could say I was petrified, but I really didn't have time to be. It all happened so quickly that my whole attention was purely on applying my well-learnt flying skills to get it back down on the ground in one piece. It wasn't until I saw the video that I realised it'd been to a height of about 100 feet, that it had only been airborne for 9, maybe 10 seconds. And I was stunned to see, the way the aircraft nosed up and leapt into the air and was swept immediately over the grass by the crosswind. And I was a long way off the centre line very, very quickly. In my mind, I knew I had to keep the speed up to avoid stalling. I probably pitched it a little bit too far down to start with, but it kept the speed up, and then it allowed me to do almost normal landing recovery and putting it down on the grass. But it all happened so quickly, and it was really pilot instinct more than anything else. I would love to go back to flying, and it's a bit of a joke now really to say I'm the last Victor pilot, but I can claim to be the last Victor pilot.